Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for our Q&A for the film Nolan, Here Nor There. We have the writer Dustan Hlady with us, and we also have the director of the film, Wilfred Dieter. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to start by speaking about the ending, since that's what everyone just watched, and I felt myself when I first watched the film very stirred by the ending and not knowing how to feel about the ending. It's definitely something that stayed with me, and I wondered if you can each talk from your perspective as the writer and director how you came to write that ending, and then how you came to shoot that ending and what you were hoping to get across. And we could start with Dustan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I initially, the idea for it came across because I was really trying to put myself in Nolan's position. There's different people that kind of represent different attitudes in the film. Tanya, she's very forgiving. She's very she kind of sees things. She takes things a little more light. Things bounce off her easier than they do with Nolan. Nolan has more of an attitude like me. I probably take things harder, and I was trying to imagine me in his shoes and how I would feel if I had taken his journey, and what I would either really want to do or who knows, maybe do. So yeah, and there's some symbolism in it. So there's a symbolism of there's a Canadian, he wraps, like his brother taught him how to start a fire. He wraps up the sticks with a Canadian flag, and that's how he starts the fire. And so and I think a lot of people would see that as a purely negative symbolism, and of destruction, which I think is, the process of decolonization. I think that's part of it. But I think also, like, fire also represents rebirth and new beginnings. So.
And the ending, I mean, to me, it's left ambiguous. We don't know exactly what will happen to Nolan. And I want to know, Wilfred, was that something that was in the script, or did you decide to shoot it that way?
Well, it was kind of like there was actually a couple little bits that we didn't get to shoot that would have answered that a little bit better. But I thought, since we didn't have it in there, it less well, there if you watch the credits, well, is it at the beginning of the credits or at the end of the credits? There's a scene where they're all on the couch together and everything's fine. So you know that he's actually he's okay, and so is Tanya, and so is
okay, so that's meant to be after those credits are post that event occurring.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, as a director, I'm like looking at it like it needs that build up and that what do you call, loss of words here right now, that, like, the climax to the movie where it like builds up so much and you don't know what's going to happen. And I thought that was a good action kind of sequence. Yeah.
Okay, and I want to talk about the actors of the film. Dustan, we had this conversation before. I believe everyone is I mean, they're actors now, but they were non-actors to begin with. And why that decision was made to use non-actors. And again, I'd like to get each of your perspectives, or was that a collaborative decision that you came upon together?
Well, Wilfred, maybe you could talk about how you found Braden and all that.
Yeah. Okay. So Braden, I was doing this leadership program for the United Church of Canada, and was working with horses. It was called equine, or however you pronounce it, leadership program, and we were taking youth and they got to learn how to communicate with horses. And Braden was amongst them. And I
I'm
noticed
just going to interrupt. Braden is played by...
Braden played by Nolan.
Oh,
And,
no, yes. Or
Nolan,
Nolan played by Braden.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got it backwards. Yeah. So Braden, I noticed something about him. He was a really passionate guy there. He actually got really emotional during the thing because he felt like he was kind of lost before that, and we're submerging him amongst like the indigenous traditions and stuff, and we did a whole bunch of stuff. And he got really emotional, and I noticed that he could tap into that really good.
Right.
And so I did a cold read with him, and he was able to just no problem read it, no problem. And he was in character. And he told me later, he's like, I'm not even acting. I'm just being myself. Eh? Like the character was, it seems like it was written for him. Eh? And but now he's hooked. He tells me all the time, if I have a project going on, to think of him to be a part of the production. And
Oh, really?
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
yeah. There was a movie we were going to shoot this summer, but we ended up not getting the funding for it. So, but he was going to be a character in that. And but yeah, so I always have him in the list of one of the young people to be in a production with if I need someone young. Yeah.
And Dustin, was this something you had thought of when you were writing the script, that, oh, this will be better played with non-actors in the roles?
I don't know if we could have done it. Maybe we could have, but like, we were working with, it was a pretty low budget production, and so we actually got auditions, like requests from like all over Canada, like even in Australia, like the kid that acts in the movie Indian Horse wanted to be in it.
Okay, yeah.
But I had to email people and be like, oh, this is like a very low budget, like so we had kind of our pick of people, but yeah, it was. But I just think, like, when you're making films in Saskatchewan, if you're working with a lot of different people, I think it's almost impossible to have all quote unquote professional actors.
Right.
And like you said, Wilfred, I don't know. I think like Braden playing himself and everything coming from a real place, I think it works better than if people are like, I don't know. I just enjoy that better than trained actors who are kind of, it's more of like a toolbox thing rather than a authentic thing, But that's just my opinion. But.
And there were some actors that did have like theater training and did make some like in front of the camera appearances and stuff, but they're not professional. Like they were good. Like
right.
Yeah. So we did have some that were experienced.
You mentioned something, Dustin. When you were talking about shooting in Saskatchewan, and my next question is about that. You're using people who live there, and it seemed like the shooting locations did have a part to play in the film as well. And maybe, again, both of you can speak to this, if that was something that was really essential to telling the story that you actually wanted to use. You had this very authentic experience with the actors, but also with the shooting locations. And I was hoping you can comment on that as well, of how that came to be.
Well, I don't know who talked first, but I could talk first. We did use a couple of reserves to do a lot of the production on, including inside the school. And Okanese was one of the main supporters for us. And so me and Dustin had to go down and sit with the chief and council to and we provided them with tobacco and everything, and asked them if we could shoot on the reserve, and we got nothing but like the best support. Like they were helping us. Like they were all gung ho to help us whenever we wanted. We had keys to their school, and got lots done on Okanese. And we also shot on my reserve too, on Pipikis, which is their neighbor. It's right there. Some of the outdoor scenes were shot there, but everywhere else, like we shot a little bit in Fort Capel. We shot some in Moose Jaw. We even went to Saskatoon to shoot a little bit. And where else? Dustin probably knows.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean LeBret, but that's Coppell.
Oh yeah, LeBret.
Coppell, yeah. LeBret. That's like kind of the same thing. But yeah, like but it was like the locations I found were really close to home. Like when we were at Pipikis, so there's that scene of like the burned down church, where Nolan and his friend are talking at. When we were shooting there, there's a graveyard near there, and Wilfred goes out in the graveyard and goes, "Oh, here's my grandparents, and here's my great uncle," and I had no idea that you know, of that connection.
And that church was just burnt down. Like that was arson that burnt that church down.
Oh, really?
Like weeks before. Like it was probably 2 weeks before. That was freshly burnt. Like if you go there today, they bulldoze the foundation out and everything. You can't tell that there was a church there anymore now. But the graveyard, of course, is still there. But yeah, that was really fresh.
Originally in location scouting, we weren't going to shoot there for those scenes, but we were out there and we saw it, and we just thought Wilfred thought it might look cool to have them sitting on this kind of just freshly burned down church kind of thing. So
we have bison on our reserve too. We were going to try to get drone shots of the bison, but they weren't cooperating with us that day. They were hiding.
Harder to get bison to act, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then even when we were shooting at the residential school site, that actually was a site of a residential school. That was on land that is now I can't remember which reserve in the area owns that land now. But anyways, even that one, Kizis, one of the actresses, I just started noticing when we would shoot in that area, her dad wouldn't drop her off. She'd get someone else to do it. And then I asked her why. She said that her dad had gone to that school, and he won't even go in that town anymore. Like if he has to go through that town, he'll drive around the lake. He won't even drive through it. So a lot of locations are really, had significance to Wilfred and to our actors and yeah.
Yeah.
And this question is for Dustin. Why did you want to tell this story?
For me, originally when I sat down to write, I had just been in the middle of getting a degree at University of Regina, and if you get a degree at U of R, it's almost like, just because of the way the classes work, it's almost like you really do get a minor in Indigenous studies. And in one of my Indigenous studies class, we went to Fort Capel, where everything was shot, and we met with elders, and we met with an elder who took us to that residential school site and shared with us his stories. Some of those bits of those stories got put into the script. And for me, that was like a life-changing experience. And I started to write like kind of story about kind of like, someone learning about Indigenous, because it had changed my life, and I kind of wanted to put that into a script. But then I thought it just made more sense if it was more of a coming of age story, and it was, an Indigenous youth like connecting with his own history. And I thought that would be stronger than the original idea. And then I met up with Wilfred, another filmmaker, introduced us, and right away I just knew like he was going to be the person to direct the film. He's he's a natural born leader type guy. So it was you know we you know I don't think he ordered my meal for me, but it was like he had that kind of gusto. And
I was cracking the whip. Yes.
yeah, and he did. Like, you know, it wouldn't like I'm more lax, so I don't know if the film would have ever gotten done if it wasn't for his leadership. So,
And that leads me to my next question, which is for Wilfred, is how Dustin touched upon this a little, how the film came to you, and what was your vision when you started, when you first read the script? What were your feelings and thoughts about how you wanted to proceed with this film?
Well, when I read the script, like I got brought on kind of late in the thing because we were pretty much ready to shoot, and so Dustin sent me the script, and I right off the bat I noticed there was humor in it, and I always thought that comedy relief is what makes a great movie even better. And then I read the whole thing and realized, oh, there's some really important stuff that needs to be told in there that Dustin wrote. And yeah, so I felt it was quite important to do the project. And I was glad I was picked to be a director for it. Yeah.
We're running short on time. I just got the signal, but I did want to ask the both of you, just because it's interesting to me. I'm based in Toronto right now, and I just wonder about what it's like to be a filmmaker, a creator in Saskatchewan, and what's the strength of the industry out there, if you could speak to that.
well, why don't you go first, Wilfred? I got to think about this.
Yeah, there's like well, first off, Saskatchewan has no film credit, like tax credit. It got removed back, I think it was 2012 or something like that, or 2011, 2012. And so we have this big, huge, like in Regina here, we have this big sound stage that's not being used. Hollywood was using it all through the 2000s and stuff. They were doing, it was quite busy for a while, and then all of a sudden they got rid of the film tax credit, and so now it's up to us independent people to carry it on, and of course with no money, it's really hard to get like a top quality production and getting some big names in there. It does happen occasionally. Like I played an extra on a movie that was shot here late last year, Cage Fighter. And that was kind of a bigger production. They actually got some big names, like not really big actors. Well, I guess there was a couple of big actors, but we had like Chuck Liddell here, and it was about kind of like a MMA fighting.
Oh.
They were trying to promote it as like it's like a Rocky, except MMA, but it was quite different from that though. But and yeah, they came here because the director is from Regina. He wanted to shoot it here. So they brought these people in, but otherwise it's like for me, I own all my own equipment. Like I rarely
really?
rent. Yeah, I felt it's easier for me to own the equipment than to having to rent it all the time. And things are getting cheaper these days, so that's a plus for independent people. And I don't know. What do you think, Dustin? I know Dustin's always working too. He's quite a busy guy.
Yeah, I always got something on the go. It is a bit of a slog, but it has its positives too. I'd say it's hard because there's some funding, but or if you have deep pockets, but usually you're paying out of pocket. And you're working with mostly people who are volunteering their time and their skills and their equipment most of the time. And so usually I find you have to like write something that's good, or else no one's going to want to be a part of it. Because you can't pay anybody, or can't pay people much,
There's
So-
one more. There's one left.
So it's
Sorry, that was
So
my
it-
son.
so you do have to pay people with something, and if it's not money, then it's going to be that they know that they're making they're collaborating on a good piece of art, or
Right.
that you're establishing friendships. Like me and Dan, who plays Grant the Elder in the film, we still
Mhm.
talk every couple days. Like we're really good friends, and I think we always will be. You know, so it's like it's about relationships, and it's about everyone feeling like you're working together on something that's important, and I kind of like that. So maybe it's not raining money, but it is like an authentic and a real experience that I don't know if you're going to get that everywhere, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I find too. Like with not much money, everyone has to work together and becomes more of a community than competition. Everyone kind of helps out others.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I'm hoping it's like that all the time. Like
Yeah.
you get some guys who think that they're really good and they work with only their own little small group of people, but overall it is more of a community around Saskatchewan. Yeah, I work with lots of people.
I just shot a film this summer, and it was like not uncommon for an actor to be giving like a performance that makes you cry, and then the next day they're holding a boom mic. It's just, you know, everyone works together to make it work, or else it's not going to work, you know. So
That's a great note to end on. Thank you, Wilfred Dieter and Dustan J. Hlady, for joining us for this Q&A.